everybody, it's Carrie with Seed to Spoon. Happy first day of October. I thought what better day than October 1st than to talk about everything that we are planning on doing here in our garden in the month of October. So here in Oklahoma in October, it is absolutely gorgeous. The weather is beautiful, especially right now. I mean, it's mid 70s. It is amazing. I can actually stand to be outside. So this is a perfect time to get out into your garden and start working on finishing up planting some crops or finishing getting your garden ready for either the fall or next spring. It's just a great time to be outside right now. So the first thing that everybody always thinks about with fall is pumpkins, whether that be decorations or harvesting or what, but pumpkins is something that always comes to mind whenever we're talking about October. So every time that we go through and we carve pumpkins for Halloween with the kids, we always pull out all of those seeds because they are super healthy to eat too. And you can make them in your oven super easy. You just need to make sure that you take the dried seeds and you put them in the oven for, 30 to 45 minutes or so. And they are really, really good to eat that night right after you carve those pumpkins and maybe watch a Halloween movie or something. So as we're talking about pumpkins, don't forget that pumpkins make a great addition to your compost pile or your compost bin, however you compost in your garden. They are fantastic to add to your soil. So as your carved pumpkins start to go bad, toss them into that pile. It's also a really good time to maybe ask your neighbors if they have old pumpkins that they had carved. Maybe you can take them off of their hands and use them in your garden as well. One year we had a whole bunch of pumpkins that we took and we added into our compost bin. So we added a free supply just from our neighbors, from decorations and all of that. And it made our compost pile so much bigger. So here in central Oklahoma where we're at, usually our first fall frost date is late October. Of course that's gonna be different every single year because weather is so unpredictable and it's different everywhere. So make sure you check your local frost dates just so you know when your first fall frost is coming up, so you know if you need to go through and protect your plants. So in October, we're harvesting pretty much all of the remainder of our warm season crops. So if we have any tomatoes, peppers, basil, things like that aren't going to make it through cold weather, we start to harvest all of that, take it into the kitchen and either preserve it or eat it at that time. And then we go through and we start to protect our plants as well for the first frost. So if you have any sort of floating row covers that you can do for your plants, we put PVC pipe domes over smart pots and we use that to help to support some cloth over top of them. And that really helps to protect it through any sort of cold season, cold weather that we might have. So I have lots of videos that I have made before about how we preserve our basil and our peppers and all that. And I'll go ahead and I'll put those links in the description so that way you can see those videos as well. So by October, usually we've planted most everything. And by that, I mean like all of our fall crops, like the broccoli, cabbage, kale, spinach, all of that. We can still try and do like some microgreens that have just like a short harvest, but usually by this time we've pretty much finished planting everything by seed. And the only thing that we really work on planting this month is garlic. Garlic is great to plant in the fall because garlic is one of those plants that requires a freeze in order to do really well. So if you plant it in the fall and then you let it winter over in the winter, and then in the springtime you'll let it grow and then you'll start to harvest it later in the springtime, and the garlic does really well that way. So those garden areas that we're not using right now, we usually go through and we plant what's called a cover crop at this time. So cover crops are mainly just to something to protect the soil, to fertilize the soil and make it still be used while you're not doing anything with it over winter. So one of our favorite cover crops that we use are peas. So we go through and we plant peas really dense in our pots that we're not using or in the ground where we want to be growing in the spring. And it's going to go ahead and grow, and it does really good at fertilizing the soil because peas are really good at that. So they go through and they fertilize the soil, and then in the spring we'll pull them up and mix them into the soil, and in the springtime it'll be all ready to go then. So that's just a few of the things that we're doing out in our garden to get ready for either planting more this fall and also to have our garden ready for next spring. Thank you so much for watching this video with us. If you haven't already, make sure that you check out our free app from Seed to Spoon. It's available for download in the iOS and Android store, and it'll walk you through growing over 100 different fruits, vegetables, herbs, and it'll also tell you exact planting dates. So maybe in your area in October, you can plant a lot more than we can here in our area. So it'll give you exact planting dates. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.